Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode in our IGTV vlog series. Now, you would have noticed that we are trying to get these out to you every couple of weeks as we think up new topics that we think that you might be interested in. So if you do have any topics that you'd like us to touch on, I highly recommend that you send us a message, flick us over a DM, or just comment here and we will create that content for you and share our thoughts and our tips and tricks. Now, today is a little bit unusual as my topic today is all about blogging and vlogging. So it's kind of a bit weird to be talking about the topic whilst actually doing the topic. Now, I've got a few notes here to keep me on track, but I guess I wanted to start by just sharing how blogging has evolved for me and for us as a business in Organise Curate Design over the last 3 years. We are celebrating our 3rd year of business at the moment and going into our 4th year of business. And this idea of sharing content and sharing thoughts and words and concepts with people has evolved, and the delivery of that has evolved over the last few years. So originally when I started the business, I predominantly focused on sharing my ideas and thoughts and tips and tricks through our EDMs. So they're our electronic emails that we send out to our database. We had a fairly small database when we started off and did some work with Business Chicks. I exhibited at a 9 to Thrive event and created more of an audience and more of a community from there. And what I would do is every month I would put together some content around either things I wanted to share, some ideas I wanted to share, or thoughts I was having on certain matters and how I was doing things in the business. And as the business continued to grow, more and more people would receive that content and they would receive it in their inboxes. Now, this year we've decided to kind of mix it up a little bit. As our social media following has grown over the last few years, we've decided to change how we do things. And now we are utilizing this more video style content and doing more vlogging. Now, the concept isn't any different in the sense that blogging is simply just a way of communicating to your community. So my first tip when it comes to introducing blogging and vlogging to an individual or as a business is to just start. I'm a big believer in winging it. Find the right platform for you and just start getting your message out there. I think in this time of COVID, we're in 2020, and it's all about communication and getting your voice out to your community. So winging it and seeing what works for you. Now, when it comes to a few of those things that we've tried, some of the things that I would recommend that you look at is what platform you want to use if you do decide to go down the EDM email system. So we have tried a few. I've worked with a lot of small businesses as well who have tried a few. We personally use MailChimp, and that's the company that we're using for a lot of our clients at the moment. But there are a few like SendGrid and AmpJar, and they all have their own style and they all have their own way of working, and that it's a case of just finding out what works for you. So we've just popped a few here that you can check out and let us know if they work for you. So the next thing that we're using at the moment is what tools we're using. So anyone out there now that has a smartphone can just start vlogging. You can just use the camera, use a basic tripod and get started. In the last 18 months, as we've ramped up the things that we're doing, we've purchased a few pieces of equipment that have really helped the process along. So the camera that I'm using today is our Canon EOS camera, and I've just got that set up on a ring light tripod, which just helps with the lighting of the room for me. But I have used a few other tripods and I've just popped them up here so you can see what we're using. The other thing to keep in mind when it comes to equipment is to look at a microphone that you can utilize. So it can pick up your voice, pick up your messaging, and you can make sure that you're on track there as well. Now, anyone that's ever looked at blogging or vlogging or content or read any articles on it would have heard the phrase, you need to repurpose your content. And essentially what that means is making sure that you're utilizing your content in whatever way possible to get the reach that you need and get that message out there. So essentially what I'm doing today is I'm talking straight to camera. There will be a written blog that goes up on our website that will accompany the words and the video and what I'm doing right now. Now what we'll also do is we'll take snippets of that and we'll make short form videos. So I might just share one little tip and I might use that as a 1-minute video for Instagram or on Facebook. Now then, what we can also do is when we're recording like this, we can grab the audio and we can create that as a sound bite. So that's yet another way of repurposing that. The other thing to keep in mind when you're blogging and vlogging is that your community changes and grows and adapts and evolves as time goes on. So you may have released an incredible blog 12 months ago about something that's really important to you and your business or your message, but your new audience hasn't heard that yet. So always go back, have a look at what you've shared in the past, have a look and see if anything needs to be added to it, and then repurpose it. And maybe use some of those tips that I just mentioned to share that message again. Now, when you are doing a more traditional style blog, which is a written form, aim for about, I'm gonna say 500 words. I always aim for like one full kind of word written page when I'm typing it up. And that way you know that it's long enough, but not too long that it's going to turn into a novel. The other thing to keep in mind is finding some really impactful images that are going to go well with your content. Now there's some incredible websites out there where you can get stock images. Now there are some terrible websites and terrible stock images, so be really conscious of the ones that you choose, making sure that they represent the piece and what you're trying to share, but also match your brand. Like, you don't want something that's going to look really off and it's going to really stand out as a stock image. So you want to make sure that there's a balance there. To keep in mind as well when you are using images is to try, if possible, to have faces in your images. So we really resonate well when we can see other humans. It's just what seems to work for human beings. So keep that in mind and mix things up a bit and make sure you've got some lovely, friendly, smiling faces in that content that you're sharing. Now, the last thing I wanted to share is my thoughts, and anyone that follows me or Organize, Curate, Design will know that I am a big believer in done being better than perfect. So I'm going to try and do this in one take. I'm hoping that that's what I've managed to do by the time you guys see this finished product. But I'm not overthinking it too much. I've got on here, I've shared my tips, I've had a few notes that I've referred to. Alana from our team, who is brilliant at editing, will pop in all the bits and pieces when I kind of point here and refer to things. She's going to pop those in for me. But we're not going to overthink it too much, because the reality is there is so much content out there in the world of the internet, and it's really easy to get stuck, and that means you don't get your message out. So just get it out, write it up, get someone to proofread it if you need that kind of extra support, and then just hit submit, hit publish, hit go, hit send, hit post, whatever it is, just get it out there. Because the reality is, unless you're writing for some prestigious paper or magazine or online article, the information kind of passes so quickly that you can go back and fix things later. So I wouldn't stress too much. All I can say is there's people out there that genuinely want to hear your story and hear your message and the things you have to say. So just hit go and get it done. That's my thoughts on blogging and vlogging. As I said, you can read more of this in our written format on our blog. And of course, follow us here and we will share some more tips and tricks in our next IGTV episode.